And now, from the CFTK TV studios, this is Northwest Connections with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome to Northwest Connections. I'm your host, Robert Pictou. Our show today comes to you from the traditional and unceded territory of the Tsimshian people. In many indigenous traditions, an owl calling your name is considered an omen of imminent death or a message that it's time for transition to the spirit world. In some contemporary contexts, it's associated with deep transformation, healing, which explores trauma and reconciliation. On today's Northwest Connections, I meet with Dr. Patricia Vickers.
I am Tsakamdaxk, and I'm from the Eagle tribe in Kitkatla. My mother was adopted. She was an English woman who went to Kitkatla, and after she had my two oldest brothers, she was adopted by Matthew Hill.
That was unusual, right? That wasn't something that was normally done?
Yeah, when she went, she was the only white person in the village. Yeah. But she loved it, and she loved the people. She was the federal day school teacher. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess we should let the people know that we're talking about a show that, or a documentary, I guess, that is going to be coming out here shortly, and it's called When the Owl Calls Your Name. And I was wondering, could you tell me, how did you become involved with this doc?
I was found by Science and Non-Duality about 5 or 6 years ago, and they asked me to speak to healing from trauma. So I did that, and they stayed in touch with me. So then about 3 or 4 years ago, they said they wanted to interview Indigenous people who were helping others to heal. And they thought they would travel around the world to do that. And so they started with me. And at the time, I thought, oh, wow, I feel pretty special. And then the reality of making a documentary hit. And it was a good experience for me. I was working in Alkali Lake, or Esquette at the time. So then I connected them with Roy, my brother Roy, up here. And I said if they could, it would be good if they also went to Haida Gwaii. But they made it as far north as Hazelton and interviewed him and Colin and John Risdale. While they were in Esquette, I was doing a neurofeedback project, so I connected them with Freddie and Dave, who were both co-facilitators for the trauma trainings we did. So that's how things moved along, and while they were doing it, I could see, there's a lot they don't know about protocol. And so I helped them to learn.
You pretty well knew, in this documentary, you pretty well know everyone that was in it, is that right?
Yes. I actually not Chief Namox, John Risdale. I haven't met him, but Colin definitely, Art Wilson's son, and my brother. Yeah.
And who were the two gentlemen that co-facilitated?
Oh, yes. That's Freddie Johnson and Dave Bellew.
I guess when you were kind of going through this documentary, because it talks about some really, really difficult things when it comes to intergenerational trauma, and I guess you could say, and the fallout of that, because really what ends up happening is the viewer is taken through these different vignettes of different people and how they dealt with them. Were you kind of surprised when you heard with these co-facilitators of what they went through?
No, because by then we'd been working together for about 5 years.
Northwest Connections will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK TV studios, this is Northwest Connections with your host, Robert Pictou.
Thank you for staying with us. Many Indigenous languages are verb-based, reflecting a dynamic, relational, and action-oriented worldview connected to the natural world. This is where, through stories, songs, and protocols, language transmits in traditional practice and the transmission of values. Let us rejoin the conversation with Dr. Vickers.
And they were brilliant. It evolved and got to the place where I asked them to speak in their language and to convey concepts around trauma and healing. And it added the depth we needed. I asked them because Esket is amazing with their songs. And so they'd open in the trainings, they'd open with their song and close. And whenever they presented a concept in the language, didn't matter where we were, people just loved it, to hear and watch them going back and forth. And then I asked them as time went on, I said, are you ready to start talking about how you neglected or abused your own children, the violence? Are you ready to talk about the truth and the facts around your parents? Because people who are in their 80s, there's that reluctance to speak those facts about their parents. So it took some conversation to say these are facts. We're not blaming them or talking negatively. We're simply speaking facts to how they were suffering too. So they were already doing it in the trainings. So no, it wasn't a surprise. I was just deeply grateful that they went there in the film because other people need to hear it.
People are walking the land, and I should start off by saying it opens up with you kind of walking through a field. Where was that?
Esket. Yeah, Alkali Lake, yes. Yeah, that was, I think their cinematography is amazing. They really did a beautiful job. Trauma is not enough, that word, intergenerational trauma. The word decolonized is not enough. This is a curse. And I think when we do ceremony out on the land, and I have in their territory, they took me to their fishing hole, their traditional fishing hole, one of their hereditary chiefs, and they showed me where their original villages were. So when I had the opportunity to learn and to see these things in the land, so much, it just means so much more to see down in the fishing hole where they packed their fish, up, and then horses and wagon. So just learning all of that gave me so much more appreciation for the people and their strength.
Because in there's a word that comes out that some people stumble across, and that's decolonize.
I see it mainly as an academic term. When we look at deconstructing and decolonizing, we're looking at reversing something. And I think for me, it's a return to our spiritual beliefs and those things that we're a little more reluctant to speak to. And that's a curse. And looking at incest as a curse. And the sexual abuse in residential school itself as a curse. So, which is a completely different way to look at it. Because then it's not a cognitive construct. Yeah, it's a spiritual one first. And also because when we look at names and passing on names, and when all of the significant recognized, what do we call them, not accomplishments, but passageways in life, and death being one of them, that well, when I die, the Gispidwada, the killer whales, will be there to help my children who are eagles with all the arrangements. So, and I think that's important that the father side partakes. So when you're the same tribe, it makes it more taxing, doesn't it?
Northwest Connections will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK TV studios, this is Northwest Connections with your host, Robert Pictou.
We weren't really abandoned, we were stolen.
Where you used to hear 150 kids all in this yard over here now, it's a silence, but you can hear them screaming yet.
Our medicine people would say to deconstruct, to decolonize is about reversing. You cannot reverse a curse. A curse can only be transformed.
Welcome back to Northwest Connections. A healing journey is a personal, active process of recovering from physical, emotional, or spiritual duress, often involving structured programs. It focuses on building resilience, reducing anxiety, and fostering inner peace through mindfulness, self-compassion, and in some cases, peer support. Let us rejoin the conversation as Dr. Vickers shares where she is in her healing journey.
I would say I'm still working through it in deeper ways now, and searching and seeking the meaning of love and forgiveness, because I think those are probably the two most important abilities and energies in life.
No, and the documentary also kind of guides the viewer to a point where these are horrible things that happen to us and is happening to us. We have some tools, lack of a better word, of where we need to go heal, and that's going back to the land, because it even showed there was a part where people were gathering around a sweat lodge.
Not our tradition, I'm a Tsimshian, but it's one I've adopted, and one that's helped me to heal for sure. And that was again in Alkali Lake, and one of the scenes is David Bellew speaking Secwepemctsín at the fire, which was a beautiful clip.
Intergenerational trauma, I passed it to my children. It don't matter how much I say I'm sorry, can't take away that trauma.
I see where your pain might be my pain too.
So when it comes to healing all that trauma, I firmly believe we have all those tools already.
In between the rounds, yes. Yeah. Did you do that as well?
My teachings were a little different. They were Anishinaabe, where we did, our waters were, it wasn't pure water. It was Meshkiki, we called it. And it's cedar water. There was separate tasks when it came to actually a sweat lodge. The women had tasks that they had to do, and so did the men. And men were gathered, what we call the grandfathers and grandmothers. And then the women prepared the Meshkiki, or the water that was used in the sweat lodge. So when they poured this over, when the conductor poured this over the grandfathers, there was no coming out between the rounds. And then we were allowed, it had to stay on your skin in penetrate through the evening.
Right.
That was the teachings that I had.
Right. Yes, there are many different traditions, aren't there?
Yep. But I guess it all goes back to land-based healing, really, when it comes to it. Seems that, there's something to be said about walking the land. There's one statement that you had in there that kind of shocked me. And you said, this is a curse. And it's like, and then you further on went on, it's like, and you can't erase that curse.
No, you can't reverse it. Yeah, which is decolonizing. You can't, refers to reversing something. Yeah.
And then, but you said, so we need to transform it.
Yeah, I don't transform it though. And I think that in the sweat lodge and in our ceremonies, I think it's the supernatural. So if we look at the chief and people and the supernatural and the land, it's like this beautiful cycle of relationships. And I think that the transformation of the curse comes from the supernatural, as does love and forgiveness.
Northwest Connections will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK TV studios, this is Northwest Connections with your host, Robert Pictou.
Do not underestimate the impact of a small deed. Reflect on a pivotal moment in your life when someone performed a seemingly small gesture. In this final segment of Northwest Connections, Patricia shares how leaving a blank form helped her brother transformed.
Application to the Meadows Treatment Center that I'd been through, and we're both in birth order theory. We're both number ones, so I suppose we're bonded in that way. We're both like the heroes or the rebels, and yes, I did, and I told him to go. Maybe not too gently, but yes, I'm glad it stayed with him. And I'm really grateful that we're friends today.
Because really when it comes to, I guess you could say healing and trauma, it happens in a family. But the hardest part seems to be that as a family member, I'm like the last person that can help my own sibling.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that's true with everyone, though, isn't it? Yeah. I can point or show, I can share, I can speak to, but it's really up to the other person to make the choices they make. Yeah.
And in the documentary, it showed a young man, I guess you could say. Quite a few of them had gray hair or no hair. But there was a young man that I guess is almost the hope you could see, the hope where he is doing his best to bring his daughter up, I guess, the way it used to be. Was that something that was deliberate, or?
I think it's an important part of it that Colin's my younger than my youngest. And I see my children's generation seems to have so much more when it comes to seeing the whole, their ability to do that. And I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, because it shows him picking berries and taking them to his daughter, and
yeah.
It's not.
Yes, yeah. So tender. Yeah.
And a lot of times we forget those things when it comes to everyday moments. It's like how we treat each other, because really how we treat each other is really an external way of actually seeing where we are. And our own healing path.
So true. So true. Yes. Only in relationships. Yeah. And how often I think it's easier for me to see when I blow something in a relationship, be it my kids, my friends, my sibling, whoever it is, than with myself. It is, I would say, I'm being taken more deeply in the last year, and I'm beginning to see now those ways which have been keeping me hiding in a lot of ways, believe it or not. You were saying about how I carry the light, but there are ways in which I hide too.
And in that aspect of where you're going to be sharing and laying your soul bare, lack of a better word, is this upcoming viewing that's going to be happening in Terrace, where you're going to be, you and Roy, I guess, are going to be sitting down and taking some question and answering. How do you feel about that?
Good. Once I'm with people and out there, I can just speak to, in conversation, you'd said, you give it over to the Creator and you don't take it back. That's what you said. And how important it is to be able to do that, not work to control whatever's going to happen, but to be in the moment.
And what do you hope that people walk away with after watching this documentary?
I think for those who've been a part of discrimination, to see it, to really see it, and to be able to speak to it, to no longer be bound by shame or held back by shame, which can be through arrogance, through denial, through delusion. I hope for that, and I hope for our people to be able to speak to facts.
But we're entitled to be here.
Yeah.
So are we.
Did you hear that?
You're not even guests on this territory.
Our chiefs and our elders have always said that you must know the land like you know the back of your hand. It's that very land, air, and water. That is your therapy.
Creator, Mother Earth, allow us to be part of your creation.
This is the mystery that we learn in ceremony. And this is forgiveness, so that you can be medicine for other people.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Northwest Connections. The greatest distance in the existence of man is not from here to there, but the connection from his mind and heart. If we can conquer that distance, we can soar like an eagle and realize our immensity within. I'm Robert Pictou.